SDS.
Student Delivers Sound. What in the world was that?
That was the intro track off the new De La Soul album.
Really?
That got released last week.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, exactly. So I am so excited to
Soulful.
be here today. Yeah, it's a good day. I have my friend here who, oh my goodness. Okay, so has educated hundreds, entertained thousands.
I would say educated thousands and thousands.
Yes.
And entertained multiple thousands.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
I mean, I'm not to
no toot your own horn.
toot my own horn, but
toot, man.
I just want to make sure that
Beep, beep.
the tooting is loud enough.
Yeah.
This is good. Well, and to quote or paraphrase Bob Costas, as a performer one of a kind, and as a man one of the kindest, Tommy Galan.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
I'm so
that.
happy you're here, man.
I'm so happy to be here.
This is really cool.
Yeah, when you first mentioned that you did this, I was like, this is what I want to be doing. So let me get on the show with you.
Yes. Well, we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And I know you from teaching some improv.
Yeah.
Teaching improv. But you do a lot more than that.
I do. I teach, which I could start from the beginning.
Do it. Start from where you... Yeah. How did you get into this, man?
I didn't get on my baseball team when I was in freshman year of high school.
Okay.
And I came home sad, and my mom was like, why don't you try out for a school play? And so I auditioned, got on stage, and never got off.
What was the play?
The first one that I did was 12 Angry Men.
Wow.
Yeah. And
diving into it.
Yeah, that was the first straight play. First musical was Calamity Jane.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And then senior year of high school, I went on our prom, we went to Dangerfields. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and we went to Dangerfields in Manhattan after the prom, and I fell in love with comedy performance. That was like the first time that I had seen comedy being performed on stage.
Yeah.
And so I started going to a local place called Pips in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. It's not there anymore.
Okay.
And
Poor Pips.
Was that?
Said poor Pips.
Yeah, Pips. It was like it was actually a pretty decent club back in the day. Like their biggest name was Andrew Dice Clay was there all the time. I think he was one of the up and coming people that started there. But I started doing stand-up when I was 17, and then I studied acting in college, and then I got to the end of college, and I didn't know what to do with myself, so I went to law school. And yeah, I know it's...
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I knew so many people that had been going into law school, and I was like, they're not that smart. So I always had this idea, like you had to be like super intelligent, and you had to have the best grades. So I figured I'd just take the test, and it was either I had to go get a job after college, or I had to figure out a way to stay in school.
Right.
And I just decided, you know what? Everything that was being fed to me was like, you can't make money acting. You're not going to make money doing comedy. You're not. It was all these stories that other people were telling me, and I bought into the stories when I was 21, and I wound up going to law school.
Right.
I knew I wanted to work for myself, so as soon as I got out of law school, within 6 months, I started a law firm. Within 6 months of that, I had 500 cases, and I represented 20 medical facilities.
Jesus.
I did that for about 10 years, but over those 10 years, I still produced shows, did comedy, started studying improv like crazy.
Right.
And in 2010, I sold my law firm, and I started teaching improv to lawyers, and I got the course accredited, so lawyers could get their continuing education credits every year by taking my improv classes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and that was my ticket in then to start teaching at a theater, because no other improvisers could teach this. The only person not only qualified but certified to do it was me.
Right.
So it was kind of my way of backdooring into the teaching of improv, and I was able to get the theaters in New York to coach me through how to be a good improv teacher. So then I did that, but then I've been performing ever since. And then in 2013, we just decided to throw all of our stuff in a car and just drive to San Diego and live here. And it's been a crazy ride.
What was that decision like? How'd that go down?
It was literally one night I was walking to the theater. I had no idea anything was going to happen. I got a phone call from my wife. She had opened up Craigslist that she had been looking for some reason months earlier at the San Diego Craigslist page. And when she opened it up, there was a job there for a fertility nurse. And she's a nurse. She was in a fertility clinic. So she called me and she said, should I apply? I was like, why not? I mean, what's the worst that could happen is they're going to say no, and everything is the exact same as it was 2 seconds ago.
Right.
So just apply. So she applied. They interviewed her on Skype the next day. 2 days later, they made her an offer. 3 days later, not even 3 days, three days. So 1 day after the offer, we accepted it. And 4 weeks later, we packed our car and just drove. And that was it. I told my boss, who was running the People's Improv Theater in New York, that this was something that was I've always wanted to move out of New York. I'm a New Yorker through and through, but I wanted to try something different. And he was crazy supportive about it. You know, it's the improv philosophy of say yes. Say yes to the things that are in front of you. Take chances, take risks, figure it out while you're falling down. You know, let things unfold as they will. And if you need to course correct, course correct.
Right.
And I've used that philosophy in so many different parts of my life. And it just seemed like the right move. And now we're here 3 years. We haven't looked back. It's perfect. I immediately started teaching improv here, performing, and I perform every week. I teach every week. It's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is excellent. Now, you know, you were saying that people were sort of telling you stories.
Sure.
When you were moving from theater to law school.
Yeah.
Did you have the same amount of pushback when you were like, hey, I'm going to move to San Diego now?
Only from family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I had a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old. So I was moving the first grandchildren away from the grandparents, so that was difficult for them.
Always tough, yeah.
Yeah. And that was really it, though. That was really it. Like everybody else, and even my parents now are very supportive. They come here all the time. We go out back to New York on a regular basis. So,
Yeah.
you know, everybody's so busy. And again, you tell yourself these stories like, oh, if you move across the country, I'm never going to see you again. And that's just nonsense. That's some
Right.
story you're telling yourself because you're trying to keep the status quo to protect you and to make yourself feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, it was the right choice. And I see, you know, friends, forget about friends. I didn't see friends when I lived in the same city as them, you know,
Exactly.
maybe once a year.
Right.
And now when I spend time with people that I don't see on a regular basis, it's really, this sounds like a cliche, but it's really quality time. Like
Right.
you value that time, you make good of it, you do good stuff with it. You don't just sit around and listen to each other breathe.
Well, it's so intentional, too, because you really have to carve out that time.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes it more valuable.
Absolutely. And it's finite. It's
Right.
finite. It's like,
You're
we
like,
know we have a week together. We know this week is going to end. We have to make use of it.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. I wonder if there's a way to do that with friends here.
No.
I don't know. I think it's a mindset, and
Yeah.
you have to have that. Like, most people wait their entire lives to do the things that they're passionate about because they
Right.
don't realize that that's finite also, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a matter of, I think that's why improv is great, because it's a common passion. So almost all of my friends in San Diego are improvisers. When I got here, that was my tribe that I found myself in. And so while I don't hang out very much outside the improv community to go to bars and to hang out and stuff because I have a family, I think that we share that passion. So I get to see all my friends on stage or from the audience or at the lobby or at the bar in the theater. And
Right.
that's maybe the way is to, you know, the people that you're with, find out what your common interests are and then do that stuff together.
Now, tell me about that exchange when you first came to San Diego. Did you have improv connections here, or
No.
did you just like skydive right into it and be
No.
like, hey, I'm Tommy, let's get into this?
Yeah, I had expected. See, I wanted to move to LA.
Oh.
And
As we all do.
yeah, I mean, and I wanted to move to LA mostly because a lot of the people that I've never really been that interested in being famous, or, you know, that's not really, in fact, I try so much to think about how I could translate what I do into things that would be more profitable, like movies or TV. But at the end of the day, I'm a stage person. I like to be on the stage and to have a live audience in front of me. So my idea was all of my friends that I had been performing with had moved or had started to shift out to LA. And I thought, well, let me start moving out there. That's where the natural trajectory is. But my wife didn't want to move to LA. And she had never been to California. So we did a trip years ago 8 years ago. We went from San Francisco to LA to San Diego. And she was like, I'd move to San Diego.
Right.
So I thought, all right, I got my foot in the door of California. I'm 2 hours away from LA. This thing came, the wind of her job took our sails and brought us here. So I thought when I moved here that I'd be going back and forth to LA on a regular basis. Then when I got here, I got like the bug to get on a stage. So I started taking improv classes. And then I stumbled upon Finest City Improv, which was a little group of people that were doing shows at the Moniker Warehouse, and
Really?
yeah,
See,
like
I don't know the history of this.
Yeah,
This
they
is
were
cool.
they were doing shows at different spaces. They had 2 house teams. They were teaching a level 1 class maybe, and it was always at different spots. And there was side stage improv, and that was also like an offshoot of National Comedy Theater.
Right.
And everybody was doing these independent shows. And then the first time I met Amy, who owns Finest City, she had invited me to a show at the Moniker Warehouse, and it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. And then the next time she invited me down, she invited me to the Lafayette Hotel to see this raw space that was just office space. And then we went into that office space. I met Matt Harris, who's my two-prov partner in Bicoastal,
right.
Bicoastal Experience.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he had moved here the same weekend as me from North Carolina, and we just happened to meet through improv at this space.
Wow.
So we immediately hit it off, and the next thing I know, they're breaking ground. Amy's asking me to teach level 1 classes. She put me on a house team, and that was it. So from the groundbreaking of that theater, I was in.
Wow.
And then having experience, a lot of their top instructors have moved here from L.A., Chicago, New York. So the people that you're studying from have studied in, the improv meccas of the United States, which has been amazing.
Right.
And for me, coming from New York, I had a little bit of street cred, being able to say that I'm from New York. I've performed in New York. I've been on some of the top comedy stages in New York. I taught at the People's Improv Theater in New York. So it was a nice ticket, and it was nice to be a medium fish in a small bowl at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's cool. And then it's grown so much since then.
Oh yeah, it's exploded.
It is it's an institution now, I think. I mean, I'm super, super new to it. I started in October. So I'm coming up on like a year being with these guys, and I'm really, really impressed with the communities going on. And
that's what it is. It's about community. It's 95% of the people that are coming to study improv, and I believe a smaller percentage, but still a pretty big chunk in the big cities, are not coming because they want to be improvisers. They're coming because they want to maybe be a better public speaker.
Right.
Maybe they want to have a community. They want to push their boundaries. They want to see. They want to learn a little bit about comedy. But it's not that they're looking to fast track it to Saturday Night Live or anything like that.
right, exactly.
So you wind up being amongst a bunch of people that have similar interests, and improv's all about support and taking care of each other and making the other person look better than you. And when everybody plays that game, you can't help but foster a solid community. It tends to push the jerks out after a while.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
No, it's very true. What do you say to, and this is probably the most common response when I tell people that I'm starting to kind of dip a toe into this. What is your response to I could never do that?
That's, again, it's a story. That's a story that, I mean,
Tell me.
How many things did you think you couldn't do 15 years ago that you've done? How many diets or life changes, or asking that girl to go to the movies with you, or like there's examples of that over your entire life. And most of us tell us that story, again, because your brain can be a jerk. Your brain wants to keep you safe. It loves you, and it wants to keep you protected. So it tells you a lot of stories about what you can't do. Your heart wants to love and be open and try new things. So you have to listen to your heart and not your brain. So what are these stories? First of all, it's a lie that you think you know what improv is. Or
That's true. Without trying it, yeah.
You have no idea. You have no idea. It's like saying, I can't do magic. But once you see how the trick is done, then you can do that trick. It's just, my dad used to have this great saying, everything's difficult until you know how to do it. And it's true. For me, what seems difficult to me now would be to start a multi-million-dollar company.
Right.
But my dad was born on a farm in Czechoslovakia. And he came to this country, didn't speak English, totally broke. He came here only because at that time in 1969, Russia had surrounded Czechoslovakia, and the president of Czechoslovakia opened up the gates and said, listen, if you can leave, leave. And he was studying in Austria at the time. So he went back to college, packed up his stuff, and then just 3 months later hightailed it out and moved to New York.
Jeez.
And then he managed to build a biomedical engineering company, and that was a multi-million-dollar company. And you know what? And then he lost it all. So It's like you don't know what's possible. You even when you have everything, you tell yourself a story that you're always going to have everything.
Right.
And really the only thing that's constant in life is change. And that's something that improv taught me, is that you have to be adaptable always. You have to always be flexible to the moment.
Right.
And you have to never get too locked up in your stories of the past or your beliefs about what's possible in the future.
One of the things that you taught me in our most recent class that really resonated with me the most, I think, is when you tell yourself I'm afraid, that's when you tell yourself I must.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's where you got to go.
Absolutely. So we say follow the fear.
Yes.
In improv. Follow the fear. If the fear is in front of you, then you must jump through it.
Yes.
Because again, your fear is your brain trying to keep you safe. It's
Right.
trying to keep you. But I can guarantee you, people don't die after they do improv. You know,
Right.
people don't have heart attacks on stage from the fear. What happens is you get on the stage, you break through the fear, and then you get off the stage and you feel empowered. My wife, I had been trying to get her for years to take an improv class.
Right.
And she was terrified of it. Not a performer ever.
Right.
I finally got her to take a class in San Diego, just a level 1 class. She loved it. And she wound up quitting her job after about 2 weeks after she graduated from that class. And she decided to put herself into freelance writing, which is what she really wanted to do. And now she cannot find the time to do all of the freelance writing that she's doing. And she's making just about as much money as she was as a nurse. So it's the stories we tell ourselves about what's possible and what's not possible. And I think you're better off taking those chances, taking the jump, and then course correcting. If it's not working, you can always course correct. But in improv, and I think in life, you should always be defaulting towards action, but towards doing something,
Right.
going ugly early, and then changing it and growing.
That's true. No, I totally agree with that.
As do I.
Yes. What do you think about improv, Marcus? You've seen me perform once, right?
Was it once?
Yeah, I think you came and saw me.
I've seen you live.
Well,
once.
yeah, here, yeah, but you saw me on stage performing with someone
Quite
putting
the
a bag.
cast.
Yeah, a bag. Somebody had a
enjoyed
bag
your
that had a head full
performance.
of bees on my
Right.
head. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do. Yeah,
I was screaming
I
and yelling.
enjoyed your performance. In regards to me, I don't just think it's probably not my thing, and I can
Yeah.
say that with some confidence.
Okay.
I don't have trouble speaking. Although I do think the opportunity to create something out of nothing, even so on the spot, is what do you call it? Tickles me a little bit.
Sure.
Right.
But I still think at the end of the day, it's not. I rather watch the performance than be the performer.
Well, I've heard some of the things, like you have some of the promos that you've made, and I think you're a really good writer.
You really love
really
that
liked
one.
those.
So we were in class,
Yeah.
like when we first met.
Yeah.
And I did this promo. It was for like an assignment where you had to just a 30-second promo for your show. And when I played it in class, the idea was I was an ice cream man handing out like samples of my show. The samples being ice cream.
Nice.
And he absolutely loved it. And you really loved the overdubbing.
Yeah, because you overdubbed. You were like six
I was
different
6
characters.
kids. Yeah,
He was
I
6
knew you'd
different
love it.
kids.
I knew somebody would love it.
And
I
he
know
used
you would
different
love it.
voices. It was really, really intricate, and it
Right.
was well produced. And
Oh.
it's like, come on, man. See, that's the stuff that I think you can develop, even not necessarily performing on stage. That's what I tell people that are a little nervous about improv is, look, you can take the class. You don't have to perform if you don't want to.
Sure. Yeah, every level 1 class is pretty much like a vocabulary class and a class that shows you how to play again like a kid.
Yes.
How to let go of your the brain that's trying to protect you and just be, because what's nice is in a room full of people that are acting like chickens, the person who stands out is the person that's not acting like a chicken, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
there's something about being in a group of people and just being allowed to play and be silly and let go that's really cool. And the other thing is, a lot of what we don't realize is even in that thing that you produced, you were improvising, right?
Right,
And
right.
we're all improvisers because
Yes.
improv is not it's not just a skill for the stage. Also, people think improv, they think comedy, but like jazz is improvised.
Right.
Right? Sometimes jazz is improvised. Art can be improvised. Dance can be improvised.
Absolutely.
This conversation is improvised that we're having right now. Technically, we're improvising right now because I don't know what you're going to ask me next. I don't know what we're going to do for the next hour and a half. But what I do know is that there are certain parameters that we will be within. We're going to be in this room. There's going to be microphones in front of our faces. We're going to have headsets on, and we're going to talk.
Right.
Other than that, everything else is improv.
Yeah.
So, and if we didn't, then when you're driving to work in the morning and there's an accident on the street, you would just go home and call it a day. But we don't. We're constantly trying to figure out how to get around the blocks of our life, the boundaries in our life, how to improvise past the challenges that are holding us back. So I think everybody could benefit from at least one improv class, if not a level 1, then just a quick drop-in. Or I taught corporate classes for years. I still do. I teach lawyers. So why would lawyers want to take an improv class?
Oh, are you kidding?
You know, it's like just the body language. How are you holding yourself? What's the story that your body is telling to the jury while you're speaking to the judge? What happens when you get stumped by something? Your witness answers something wrong. Are you going to show them that you're sweating, or can you be in control of that? And even if you never took an improv class, but you are able to control those things and you're conscious of it, then you're improvising.
Right.
Improv, the classes just give you a framework of what you're doing, so that way you're even more aware next time you're in that moment.
It brings that consciousness to you. Yeah, I took the level 1 I took with Kat Brown, who's fantastic.
Oh, she's great.
Oh my gosh. And it really did. And I wrote a little thing. It flipped a switch in my brain.
Yeah.
Where I said, oh, I've already been doing this. This is something that I've kind of gotten away from as I've gotten a little older, but this is something I need to return to.
Yeah.
This is because this is something that's, it feels like when you take that level 1 class, it gives you a conscious realization that something is out of balance within you. That's what it felt like to me. And I'm like, okay, well, let's bring this back into balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, the skills that you're learning, when you really distill it down, they're skills that you're already using. They're things that you're leaning on. So just to have that vocabulary and to see how it plays out when you're trying to create something out of nothing on stage, listening. How many times we say, listen, 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 but people listen mostly just for their turn to respond, rather than listening to learn and then listening to transform.
You can tell when people are doing that, by the way.
Sure.
Like if you're talking to somebody and they're just like, it's the entire facial expression. It's in the eyes of someone that's just, and it's actually quite annoying.
It's almost like a runner at the starting blocks. Like
you just
waiting
want
for them
to
to stop. You're like, okay, there I go.
Yeah, so
you just want to be like, can you stop thinking about what you're going to say and listen? I have this idiot at work who never, like, he does not listen to you. He is just waiting for the response, and it would be worth it if the response was halfway decent, but of course it never is.
Well, you just got to throw something in there at the very end, like, and that's why I'm joining the circus,
right?
Or something like that.
See if they're listening.
Yeah, exactly. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and that type of situation, like when you have somebody that you feel is not listening, or they are just a jerk or something. That what I teach in improv for performers, we talk a lot about status. Right.
Yes.
So, and when I enter a scene, am I a high status character? Are you a low status character? Is there a way of adjusting that status? And what the example that I give is, if I were just to say employer employee, you're going to think, okay, the employer has high status, the employee has low status. Right. It's just that's the framework that we have.
Sure.
But when the employee opens up the drawer and finds the love letter between the assistant and the boss, now the status shifts because they have the upper hand, right? So when I teach non-performers, lawyers or CEOs or doctors, whatever, I use this idea of status as recognizing the other person's status that they believe they have. Right? So if somebody is not listening to you, it's probably because they think they have a higher status than you, and and they don't feel like it's necessary to really truly listen to somebody that's lower status. And in those situations, what I say is, like, if I had a judge that was like that, I give status to the judge. If I know that judge is like, you're in my courtroom on time and you hand in your briefs, and when your case is called, you come up here, you better not have your cell phones on. You know I'm not going to violate that judge's perception of their own status.
Right.
But another judge that might be like, shows up 20 minutes late with her cup of coffee, totally relaxed, just in regular clothes, not in the robe, calls the calendar slow. I'll step up there and I'll give them the status that they want to feel. You know,
Right.
when you feed somebody the status that they believe, all of a sudden their ears start opening up and their eyes start opening up and they want to hear what you have to say. So sometimes it's just a matter of knowing how to play the game on both sides.
It's almost like radio, where you broadcast at a frequency. I mean, that's how radio works, is that a little receiver puts out a signal at a specific frequency and meets the broadcasting signal where it's at. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with our brains, too. Our brains are such powerful electrical devices that if you're putting out a specific frequency, it's going to get met with what's ever out in the world.
Totally.
So
yeah, just relationships.
It opens that. Yeah.
You think about like a romantic relationship. I'm married,
right.
And I know that if my wife is upset about something and she's putting out the frequency of I need to get this off my chest,
right.
but I'm putting out the frequency of I'm going to solve this problem.
Yeah.
It's just like pouring gasoline on the fire, and I have to adjust my strategy to meet her where she needs to be met. And then once we're on the same team, we can problem solve together.
Right.
Right. So it's a matter of, and I think it all comes down to consciousness and awareness and
Absolutely.
being present in the moment, understanding that your brain is trying to create a script for the future, and you're better off burning that script and just staying present with what's going on right now in the moment.
That's what I used to do when I had anxiety for performing for improv shows, is I would allow my brain to create those scripts.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, here we're going to go do this thing where I'm going to be the realtor for the guy that's selling the Playboy mansion and, seeing all the crazy things that are behind the walls or whatever.
I'm interested in that one.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
That might be for my sketch writing class that I'm doing now. But then as soon as I get to the theater, just burn it all.
Yeah, you
Just
have to.
allow myself to, go down the rabbit hole, but then discard it.
Yeah, the thing is, you're not in control of that rabbit hole. That's your subconscious trying to protect you again.
And fighting it isn't going to help you.
No, it's going to make you more nervous.
Exactly.
It's going to make you more nervous.
Exactly.
And honestly, I truly believe that the mistakes that we make on stage that we then justify and weave into something brilliant are way more interesting and funny and entertaining than when we're writing something on the sidelines. Because that thing that you're writing on the sidelines is not going to happen anyway. Every single plan you ever make in your life will be adjusted at some point. So you cannot be married to them. Otherwise, the space between expectation and reality is going to be big enough that all of your miserableness and pity and upset feelings are going to sit in there.
Which you're going to just put on display because those are the framing on either side of that.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've done that many times where I've gone out on stage and said, okay, I got this great thing. I'm going to go out there. And then the other person says something completely different. I'm like, oh, toss that. Got to toss it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
And
be
it's better
willing to
that
pivot.
way. I prefer that actually.
It's freeing. Once you submit, once you surrender to that philosophy, it's very liberating because you cannot make a mistake. And when you're playing with other people that their core belief is my job is to make you look better than me, then you can get I did a show recently where my scene partner, Matt, I was proposing to him.
Okay.
And he was my girlfriend in the scene. We were at the end of the show, and he got so excited that he flailed his arms back. He wound up hitting a chair that fell into the audience.
Oh my gosh.
And which, you'd consider that a huge mistake. You're not supposed to throw things into the audience, mostly.
Mostly not.
He didn't intend for that to happen, so it was an unintentional move. And I immediately came out and I said, "Did you just throw the chair out the window?" And now we were on a 29th story of a building.
Right.
And he explained, I was so excited. I didn't realize I hit the chair. And that then changed the dynamic of the scene and the trajectory of it. And it's like, once you realize that there are no mistakes, just adjustments that put you in a new direction that you can always justify and course correct, you don't allow fear to paralyze you anymore.
Right.
And it's taken me years to learn that. Because even I've started producing videos for YouTube now, and I'm putting out memes, and I'm at that point where and they're all improv related, and I feel like this is I finally I've been doing this long enough that I feel like I've hit that point where my education is now hit the crossroads of my my publicity, trying to publicize what I do to get it to a broader audience.
Right.
And a lot of what I did was held back because of that fear of the mistake.
Sure.
So I committed myself in July to do a video every single day.
Yeah,
and
I liked those. Those were really good.
They
actually.
were fun. And
Yeah.
and I look at them now and I could see all of the learning curve that happened. And I didn't know why I was doing it other than it was interesting. And I was still afraid because I thought I was going to make mistakes. And looking back, I could see tons of things that I would change now. But just taking that step has put me in a place now that my videos are sharper, they're shorter, they're funnier, they're more pointed to the issue that I'm trying to address. And I'm even using it in another business that I have. I own a company called San Diego Rain Gutters.
Yes.
Actually, no, it's San Diego Gutters. There's another company called San Diego Rain Gutters, and we work very closely together.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's funny. When I moved here, this is, again, making mistakes, taking shots, taking care of people. I moved to San Diego. My father was a roofer. My stepdad in New York was a roofer, and he taught me how to do gutter cleaning and stuff like that. So even when I practiced law, when you're first starting any business, you need to make money. And I was always able to just buy a ladder and get up there and get my exercise and get paid for that exercise.
Sure.
So I started doing that here. And in Brooklyn, I own Brooklyn Gutters. So I figured I'll start San Diego Gutters. Within like a month, I get an email from the owner of San Diego Rain Gutters. And he's like, "You're using our name. And I don't want to get litigious, but you have to stop using our name."
Oh, my gosh.
And I explained, I was like, "Listen, first of all, I'm not using your name. Mine is San Diego Gutters. You're San Diego Rain. You're San Diego Rain Gutters."
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? Instead of us being adversaries, do you install gutters or clean them? And he's like, "We only do installations." I was like, "Good. I only do cleaning. How about I refer you every single house that needs new gutters? And you refer me all the houses that are too small for you to clean their gutters because you're not doing cleaning." And now for the last like 2.5 years, we have an amazing relationship. They provide me with business. I provide them.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's like you can take, again, you take these things that most people, a lawyer would say, you made a mistake by not doing a name search before you picked your name.
Right.
I disagree. I think I took a shot. I turned that mistake into a benefit. And now, and it wasn't just my benefit. My first thought was, how do I help this guy? How do I help San Diego Rain Gutters? Yeah. So take care of other people and see how how the dividends start to pay back.
And that goes back to meeting them at their status.
Totally.
Which is great. And
Totally.
it's taking that improv philosophy to a place where it doesn't normally go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, let's play some more music here.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got we're listening to a lot of the new De La Soul album. We've got some other stuff too. It was a little tricky because there's a lot of profanity, and I wasn't able to get radio edits, but there are some good ones in here.
Yeah, just let it fly.
No, I don't have the. I don't have the 27 grand to handle that right now. At this point.
Right.
At this point.
Not yet.
Not yet, we're going to call that.
But soon.
That's right. All right, this is actually that was the intro that we kind of played.
Yeah.
It was a little intro with Jill.
Who was the vocals on that?
Jill Scott.
Ah.
Jill Scott is really, really good. I've got some other stuff with her that we can play as well if you're interested. But this one is called Royalty Capes. And it's pretty good. It's a different flavor than the traditional De La Soul that you think like Me, Myself, and I.
For sure, it's 20 years later, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, De La Soul has an interesting place in my heart because they had a song that was part of the Judgement Night soundtrack. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I don't think so.
The movie was forgettable. It had
rude.
Well, it was okay. But the thing was the soundtrack was good because they did every track was a hip hop artist and a rock artist together. So De La Soul and Teenage Fan Club had a song on there, and it was really good. Yeah, it's all 90s stuff, but it was Stop it.
That's what I love. The 90s.
Oh, the 90s. Oh, man. That's when I got turned on to all this. But this is cool. This is a new permutation that they've got going on. So we'll listen to this and get back on the other side of this on SDS.
Student delivered sound.
SDS.
Student delivered maggots.
Don't do it. We were talking about gross stuff in between the songs. We heard De La Soul, and then we heard a little bit of People Under the Stairs with OST featuring Odell.
It totally sounded like you said, "We're De La Soul," which I had no idea.
Yes, we are. Get ready.
Okay.
We're going on tour. We're going on tour tonight.
Okay, where are we playing at?
Let's see, San Diego. Where would De La Soul play?
Yes, we're in San Diego.
I don't know.
What
I
is
can't even.
State Theater?
I was surprised to
House of
see
Blues?
that.
I guess.
I'm on Facebook. I'm a member of
Yeah.
a group that's like 90s hip or old school hip hop.
Right, right.
And I saw there that this album was coming out, and I was actually blown away that this wasn't bigger news.
Yeah.
You know, at Tribe Called Quest, I think has an album coming out.
I'm excited for that.
Me too. They're
Yeah.
probably my favorite 90s hip hop.
Right.
But like De La Soul, I loved in the 90s, and I thought they were bigger than what my brain would be. You know, I thought that like a lot of brains would be on that and be like, hey, this is a big thing, and I'd see it, but apparently not.
Well, I think that there were a couple albums that got released, you know, in over the past decade or so that were like, take it or
from
leave
them?
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think that may have lowered their buzz a little bit.
Gotcha.
But Tribe, I'm really interested because what is it? Fife Dog passed away.
He did.
Yeah.
I think it's stuff that he recorded before that.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you ever heard some of his solo stuff.
Not too much, no.
Yeah, I have a couple of his solo songs, and they're actually really, really good. Again, not playable on the radio, but really, really good. Yeah, it's a challenge trying to find a lot of that kind of music that I want to play because just the language was like 90s hip hop.
Don't you just edit it yourself? Weren't you doing that for a while?
It sounds terrible when I do that.
What do you do? You put it like on a garage band and hit a button or
Yeah,
something?
just like a little. Well, usually I just like drop the volume right when they curse, or like halfway through the curse
Yeah.
word.
What you should do is
I know exactly what you're going to say.
overdub
Yes.
yourself saying a less vulgar word.
Yes. Buttons.
Pumpernickel. Yeah. I actually did that. Remember, there was a stand-up comedian that I had on the
Yes,
show.
I remember that.
Well, I had a recording of this stand-up comedian. He was telling a story, and he used the N-word a lot,
Yeah.
and it was central to the story. So I was like, I actually recorded me saying the N-word. And done that in over. and the funny thing was that was actually funnier than the story, so it kind of
worked.
took away from the story a little bit.
It worked seamlessly.
It's funny. I think that you think about like vulgar words, and the more we like restrict words, the more
Yeah.
taboo they become, and then the
Exactly.
more like vulgar they appear. And
Right.
like I've been listening to a whole lot of podcasts lately,
Yeah.
and after a while, like they're podcasts that I have 3 children. I would not let my children listen to them,
Right.
so they don't really need. I'm adult and mature enough to self-regulate.
Sure.
But after a while, listening to it, the words don't have the same meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I'm excited right now in this generation that everyone has a cell phone and they can look up whatever they want and
Sure.
have it in their hand at any time, because it does take away a lot of that taboo, like, oh, this is restricted.
Sure.
I mean, even if it's, a terrible example, but it is an example, is porn.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to I remember at like 16 trying to get a Playboy and like, oh, well, I have to go dress like an adult and go try
Wow, you're
buy it
old.
from the liquor. Shut up.
Playboy.
Stop it.
Well,
Yeah.
How tall were
That's
you at
child's
16?
play.
At 16, God, I was, 16
6'7".
is, I actually was 6'7" at 16.
So you
Yeah,
look
yeah.
like a 35-year-old
I did,
businessman.
just minus the facial hair that I probably needed at that time to really pull it off.
I remember the first one that I bought on my own. I went to this like smoke shop in Brooklyn on 18th Avenue, and I went in there and I bought it. It was a VHS. Came in.
Nice.
Yep. And I got back and I took it out and I put it in the VHS player and I watched it, and immediately comes up. It's like somebody had recorded Little Orphan Annie on their TV.
Oh.
And just took that VHS and stuck it in there. And when I brought it back to the smoke shop,
Yeah.
he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't buy that here." So this was like a
What?
scam that this guy was running on kids
Oh
that
my-
were trying to buy inappropriate videos.
That's
He
amazing.
was because what are you going to do? You can't tell your parents. You can't.
And he probably thought he was doing something good for the world. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I'll show you.
I'll show those kids.
Watch-
Now you're just making me go to a rival smoke shop. I mean, he did get a sale out of it.
Every time I tell that story, people are like, it was a thematic porn of Little Orphan Annie. I'm like, no,
No,
it was Little
no.
Orphan Annie.
No,
I'm
yeah.
sure that exists. But,
Oh yeah, Rule 34.
VHS.
What is the rule 34? If somebody can make something dirty, they will.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I believe
so,
it.
Yeah,
You'll be shocked. I maybe you wouldn't be shocked, but it's a whole.
Nothing shocks me
people do
anymore,
not-
man.
You know what's back to the word thing? It's at what point does the word, the B word, dirty words,
Right.
Yes.
Like, at what point do they lose their power? At one point
Well-
do people are like, especially now, I feel like people seen shows on HBO. People have heard these words before. People
Sure.
use them in their daily lives. At what point it's like we've heard these words. I mean,
Right.
if you really strip the meaning of, the B word can certainly be offensive and used,
Sure.
to degrade,
Right.
Sure, I think it's all
Women,
about
but-
context.
Yes.
What's the context
Yeah.
that you're using it in? What's the audience?
Right.
And then also look back. I think, and then it's time, because if you look back at like the words that were curse words in 1900 or in the 1800s, there's definitely words that would be offensive then that are
Sure.
nothing. In England, I think.
Yep.
I don't know if we're broadcasting in England or if I could say
I know what you're
England
gonna say.
curse
Oh,
words.
bloody. Yeah.
Fanny.
Fanny.
Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought you
The
were
worst
gonna say the other
word.
F
Yeah.
You could get beaten up over calling
Yes.
somebody a fanny. And
Yes.
like that to us, it's like these words have no meaning other than the meaning that we put on them.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know when it changes, but I assume that time and your audience, because if you're in England, you're going to use different words.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you're in America, you use different words, right?
I remember what was that movie, Gangs of New York, when they're like, "Oh, just call me a tosser." Like, go ahead, I dare you to call me. And there's like that started a huge
I can
fight.
name a couple of things.
Right? Yeah.
The
Pretty much.
like the B word, for example. So
Yeah.
like, it's almost like people are taking that word now and like redirecting the power onto it. And
Right.
so like even with the N word, but I think more so with the B word. I think the N word will always be volatile, but
Sure.
the B word. It's
I like
now,
how they're respelling it. I like how a lot of people are
the
reclaiming
N word,
No, the B word.
respelling it.
Yeah, like besh or whatever. Sometimes they'll use it online and they'll like BESH or like
Oh, I think it was like that was like a Kendrick Lamar thing. He had
Yeah.
a song, not a song, but it was like.
I've seen it a lot on Instagram and stuff like that, or like BECH or something like that, where they respell it, so they're kind of reclaiming it under a different energy.
Maybe they misspelled beach.
That could happen. It happens a lot. I live on Beach Street, but it's BEECH, and I have to like explain to everyone every time. No, it's not the beach. It's the tree, the beach. And, yeah. All right. So yeah, fascinating radio. Yeah. So I like that though. I think that putting a different meaning on a word is just the language evolving. I think we need to evolve our language.
Absolutely.
Everything else evolves.
And I think there's also a level of, I don't know if it's the internet or what it is, but I feel like there's not people aren't. Here's the thing. I've got 3 kids now.
Mhm.
I've got to pay a mortgage. I've got to bust my hump on a ladder, climbing up and down. I got to get to the theater at night. I'm so busy actually trying to struggle through life that I don't really have time to get outraged at words.
Right.
And I think the internet gives us a platform for everybody, for a minority of people who get offended by something to seem like the majority, and it becomes
Yes.
bigger than it is. And that's not just words; it's with everything.
Ideas. Oh yeah.
Ideas. So I think when I have friends who get upset at certain things, and I'm like, if you lost your job, you wouldn't have the energy to be upset about that. You'd be struggling
Right.
to find a job. That would become the most important thing in the moment. So it's like, yeah, you can't get too caught up in the illusion that is portrayed on the internet.
Well, it's like I've always said that the internet is for 2 types of people. People that are either time rich or time poor.
Yeah.
So it's either with people that too much time and they can have this sort of outrage machine and use it to do go down whatever rabbit hole they want to, or people that just have no time and they need a little tool for convenience.
Sure.
I always prefer that the internet's best, I think, as for people that are time poor. That allows them to get to a place easier. It allows them to find a restaurant without calling around going, "Hey, what time are you guys open?"
Sure.
So I like that a lot more. The time rich thing. If you're that time rich, go play a video game. You know, if you like that sort of thing, then
Play a video game online.
yes,
In a chat room.
yes,
That's the real.
If you really want to get outraged,
That threw it out of whack. Right.
oh my gosh.
Start a Twitter account.
I was just listening to the Dr. Drew podcast, and he had Jay Moore on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jay was talking about how he spent 2 years in an argument with a guy in like a New York Jets chat room or something like that. And for 2 years, like, it was just a battle, fighting. And this guy's like avatar was a Jimmy Page picture. And then he changed the picture to his self-portrait at the prom. For 2 years, he had been fighting with a kid that was 16 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 15, it was like 15 to 17. He was arguing with this kid for 2 years.
And I think that's a tough thing because it's almost like the age ladder. You're kind of pushing negativity down the age ladder, which I don't know is necessarily a healthy thing. You know what I mean?
Let's not skip over the fact. For 2 years, he was arguing with somebody, and it was just, he thought he was right. He had his convictions, and they were just, because you've seen those. I'm sure everyone, although I'm sure most people, with, more important things to do more important things to do with their time, don't scroll down on the YouTube.
Oh, that's a cesspool.
Sure. And I mean, whose mind are you ever going to change?
Right. That's the thing.
Well, they've released a lot of studies recently too, even like with political posts on Facebook. It's like you're not changing anybody's mind.
You're just going to reinforce people's.
I stopped. I used to be so bad because
me too.
After being a lawyer for 10 years, I've always, one of the reasons I wanted to get out of law, I had to get out of law, was because I could not it started to change who I was into an argumentative person who loved the argument just for the sake. It was like a game.
Right.
And but it bleeds into your other relationships, into my relationship with my wife, with the kids. So it's like you have to step away from that. But I used to get into these terrible arguments online, and I would, I as a lawyer, I could corner you in and like clearly show that your own arguments prove my point and turn it back around. But it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, to what end? To what end? Yeah.
That other person, like, just because you pointed me out as being wrong doesn't mean I'm actually wrong. If I don't believe I'm wrong,
right?
Yeah.
Well, and that creates a whole subculture of not listening to reason.
Sure,
right?
It's like, it's sort of that fact-resistant mentality.
You know, I heard that the quickest way to get somebody to dig deeper into their position is to present facts that show the opposite. Because belief is in our minds, what we believe is so much stronger than the facts that are presented to us, because it's very easy for us to just discredit those facts because we feel a certain way. And it's tough to be able to let go of that, I think.
I'm wondering if the way that we have our methods of communication now make that a little too easy to do that, to make you dig in a little too fast.
No, it is, because even as it's more easier now than ever to just go and read something, and it's people don't read anything, and then people are so entrenched. And I think the internet, the advancements, it allows you to be more entrenched, because now you can filter and just read what you already believe.
Right.
And there's also anonymity on the internet.
Anonymity, yeah.
There's the idea. Louis C.K. was talking about kids.
That's the worst.
He was talking about kids, and like how if I'm a kid and I poke you, and I call you a jerk, and I could see it hurts your face, and I go, oh, that doesn't feel good. I just hurt you. But if I say that on Twitter, I sit back and I'm like, oh, that felt great.
Yeah,
and I never get
the
the negative consequence of actually empathizing with another human being. So you put that divide. I mean, look at Anthony Weiner. Right?
Yeah.
Here's a guy who has ruined his marriage, ruined his career, and at the same time just can't stop because there's that level of, well, there's still this thing in between me and reality.
Right. It's the buffer.
Even though reality grows out of that eventually, in that moment, you cannot connect with what is true and what's actually going to happen.
There was an interesting video on the BBC where they had some guy that was a troll on the internet, and they tracked him down in person, and they confronted him on camera, and he was trying to be so reasonable and trying to be so nice and like, but at the same time, like, nope, but that's also my position, so I'm gonna. And it was interesting to see that change. So when you present them with the reality that they're creating,
sure,
it changes their tune a lot.
Yeah, I've tried lately with like these videos that I've been producing that if I get negative feedback, I will be open to any feedback. I'll be open to any notes, but I won't defend myself.
Yeah.
So if I put up a video that says something about improv and saying yes to things, and somebody types back, "There's got to be a time to say no to something, right?" I'll be like, "Yeah, there absolutely is," and,
Sure.
and I'll adjust my message moving forward,
Right.
but I'm not going to get into it with you.
No, exactly.
Because there's, and you know what? You look at these guys who are even, guys and gals even more famous these days. They're doing shows, and then I can't imagine what it's like to have to go back to the internet for validation.
Yes.
Everybody's laughing at me. I'm in a room of 5,000 people. I'm getting great applause.
Right.
Then you run to your hotel. How many clicks did I get? How many people liked it? What are the comments?
That's a tough mechanism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's because it allows people to, skew things a little negatively. Oh, it's it's the top of the hour. We got to do a quick ID, and then we will be back here in just about less than a minute here on SDS.
Student over sound. I'm counting.
Baldilocks here from San Diego City College. This is KSDS HD2 San Diego. Student Delivered Sound. SDS.
Sound. This is Chris Hardwick. Google me.
It's like Scott Baio.
All right, we're back. Just got to do that at the top of every hour. All right, so we're close to it. It's close to. It's within the little 5-minute range. Don't judge me. I see the judgment. I see it. I see. No, okay, all right. That makes me feel better. So what's on the horizon for you, Tommy? What's
For me?
Yeah.
Right now I'm trying to become more focused on my target market, which is improvisers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get more and more of the word out there that I teach as well as perform.
Good.
Because I'm starting now to apply to, now that I've got all the babies out, and I don't think we're going to be having any more.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I'm trying to get myself, I'm trying to actually promote myself as a performer and as a teacher. And I love teaching as much as performing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting out these videos, I'm putting out memes, I'm putting out all sorts of different things. I'm using a lot of social media with the hope of first just being able to tour the country and do the improv festivals.
Yeah.
And to subsidize those, basically turn each one into a family vacation that I can subsidize by teaching in that location. I don't necessarily need to make a ton of money doing it. I'm
Right.
just looking to put myself out there as much as possible.
Sort of keep it sustainable as you go. Very smart.
In San Diego, what I'm doing is I've got 2 main shows that I do now. I have a show called the Bicoastal Experience, which is me and my 2-prov partner, Matt Harris. And we do a fully improvised show where the audience tells us our characters' names, and then we bring you through a journey of these characters. And eventually the fourth wall breaks, and we bleed out into the audience, and you realize that you're actually in the show yourself.
Oh, cool.
And then I also do a show called Look at What We Found, and it's a clown show.
Yes.
And it's a clowning in the sense of like European stage clowning, not birthday party clowning. It's
Right.
It's one of those things that we want to strip away everything that you think about what a clown is and show you how even people that you already know are clowns. Steve Martin was a clown.
Oh, yeah.
Is a clown. Sacha Baron Cohen studied clowning extensively. So there's so much of it that I think, and you're seeing a lot of that growing in the improv community now. Take clown classes as electives, and I teach clowning in San Diego. I teach improv in San Diego. So I'm just looking to expand those shows. That's my primary focus. Also, I'm trying to just produce content. And,
Right.
and the idea with the producing content is there is no main goal in mind other than continuing to default into action and to produce and produce and produce, and then make my creative endeavor the editing afterwards.
That's good.
So that's it. I'm just trying to push out a lot of stuff right now.
Nice. No, I like the idea of content creation. I think that, I listen to a lot of Chris Hardwick does the Nerdist podcast.
Sure.
And one of the things that kind of across the board, he doesn't say, oh, here's a lot of secrets to success. But one of the things he says is just start making it.
Yeah.
There's such a low barrier of entry nowadays to create what you want.
Absolutely.
That just start doing it. That's how a lot of the people that are really successful right now are getting recognized, because they're just already doing it.
Yeah, and it's a matter of being comfortable with failing.
Right.
Right. Because like when I start my clown class, the first thing I do is I ask who can juggle. And then
Yes.
the people that raise their hands, I say, can you juggle balls? And they say yes. And then I give them clubs, or I give them rings.
Swords.
Because I want you to get used to the idea that you're going to fail and to be okay with that.
Right.
And then once you're okay with that, you start producing content, and it's just a matter of letting go of the judgmental mind. You know, people think that improvisers think faster. The truth is they don't think faster. They just don't judge the first thought. They take it. And then they adjust as they're moving forward. It's way easier to have more ideas and to create more when you've got forward momentum.
Yeah.
When you're constantly stuck in square A because you're too afraid to just start, you're never going to get anywhere.
It's like coasting down the hill with the brakes on.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all I'm doing right now is producing a lot of content. I've focused all of my websites and my ideas right into my personal website, which is tommy-galan.com.
Not TommyGallon.com?
No, because there's a senator in the Dominican Republic, Tommy Galan.
Yeah.
And he's got we kind of have a race to social media. Like I beat him to Twitter.
That's amazing.
He beat me to Facebook. He beat me to the website, but I got Tommy-Galan. Twitter's the best because I get tweets from like his constituency in the Dominican Republic, and I respond back. As
That's
though
amazing.
I'm him, because I don't know. It's not a picture of him; it's my picture. I don't know why they think I'm him.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's
Have you had some really good exchanges with that, or
not really. They don't usually exchange back. I don't think they find it too comical.
they're like, I've got a serious thing to talk to you about. They're like, let's snap it up here.
I love found comedy and found improv. I like
I do too.
when when telemarketers call, they're the best. I just go into character and I do scenes with them.
That's
I
amazing.
had somebody recently called me from Google. No, not from Google. It was like one of these Google affiliates, and they were like, "Hi, we're with Google
Goggle.
Ads, and we want to make sure that you're on the front page of Google. Do you know that if you're not on the front page of Google, people are going to miss your site and you're not going to get any business?" I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Do you work for Google?" And they're like, no, we're an affiliate of Google. Oh, okay, what's the name of your company? Oh, our company is LDS Incorporated. And it's like, really? Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Tap, 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 tap. I have some bad news for you. Do you know that you're not on the front page of Google? If you're not on the first page of Google, how could I ever do business with you? You see, I only give my business to companies that are on the front page of Google.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, just throw it right back at them.
Wow, Jesus! How
you
do
know?
you can't recover. The only way to you have to abort the phone call and just
Oh, yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Keep them on there as long as you can.
and
Play.
drink
Yeah.
some water.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the best way to get it to them is waste their time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What? What is this?
Cruising down the hill with your brakes on.
What?
Does that make sense, or am I being slow right
Yeah,
now?
sure.
That makes
Coasting down
sense?
the hill with your brakes on.
Can you do that? My car can't do that.
Well, I mean, that's the philosophy.
Or is that the point? Is you can't do that?
Well, first of all, with a car, you shouldn't do that because
Well,
it's tough on
duh.
the brakes. But I think it played to the metaphor where, look, if you're gonna go down the hill, go down the hill. Don't
Yeah.
just like
Take your
don't just be like, oh my god.
Take
I'm
your
going
foot
down
off the brake and don't
Yeah.
fear the forward momentum.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Instead, you're not going to go down the hill with your foot completely on the brake, and that's what most people do.
Right.
And then some people will kind of ride the brake because
Yeah.
the fear is like, am I afraid? I'm going to
Okay.
try it, but I'm still afraid. But I'm going to try it. I'm afraid.
Which, carrying the metaphor even further, messes up the people in front of and behind you
Sure, totally.
on the street. If you're going to carry that metaphor even to a
Metaphor
ridiculous-
accepted, John Fink.
Hey, I'm here for you, buddy. I'm
As
here
soon as he
for
said
you.
it, I'm like,
You're like, wait a
well, I
minute.
coasted, my foot is on the brake.
Some people
There
do.
he is.
Oh, it's the super tall guy. Sorry. There's a guy here that's taller than me. It freaks me out.
He
taller
walks
than you?
by every
Yeah.
every morning.
Yeah.
And he's like, really
People
tall.
taller than, okay, I'll just lay it out right now. People taller than me make me really nervous.
Man,
I'm super used to
I
it
could-
being the tallest guy.
sure, of course.
That makes you nervous?
It makes me nervous. It scares the hell out of me.
You and I. How tall are you?
5'10".
5'10". I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a good day.
Yeah.
And I'm very used to people taller and shorter than me, so I've kind of fallen into just this acceptance that I'm right in the middle of everybody. I could imagine that if you're the tallest person your whole life, that when you see somebody taller than you, it's like, oh my God, that's an alien who could eat me.
Right. That's the thing. It's like okay, up here is like my private beach. And it's like, even if you have a private beach, if you see some guy way, way off on the beach all the way down there, you're like, get that guy off my beach. It's sort of that mentality.
BEE.
Yes,
C-H.
thank you.
Yeah.
Nice callback. Nice job, Marcus. But like
I
you
listen.
guys,
Who says you don't improvise, Mark?
yeah. See, no, but like if you guys showed up at a party and okay, I'm trying to like translate this. Like if either of you showed up at a party and you were clearly the tallest person there, wouldn't that freak you out? Like a little bit. Wouldn't that be like
It would freak me out, man,
it's
because that'd be a
making me-
really short party.
Right. Exactly. That's the thing. It's like I'm trying to think like what would freak other like normal sized people out.
I do. We have this coworker who's I believe she's 4'8",
Oh, sweetie.
and it's just
I'm 2 feet and 2 inches taller than her.
and it's just it's just a little weird. But I don't because she's so short
Right.
and like her feet are so small.
Yeah.
And she has to climb on top to get like
Does she really?
powdered sugar or something. Yeah.
Aw.
But it's no, it wouldn't be weird if everybody was taller. I mean, because I guess, like he said, I'm just used to being in a world where I will see people who are taller than me. I will see people who are shorter than me.
Right. Or if like you went to an NBA party and you were clearly the shortest person there, wouldn't it make you like just
No.
take notice a
Not
little
me,
bit?
but I'm different. But
Yeah,
I
but
can
you do a lot
understand
of
your
sports
point.
stuff. Yeah.
Sports.
Sports.
Yeah.
Is your wife tall?
My wife is 6'3".
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So yes.
So yes, but I have dated women that were very short. Like once upon a time, I dated a woman that was 5 foot.
Wow.
Yeah, and the nail in the coffin to that relationship was
Oh, yeah.
out at the mall.
Oh. Uh-oh.
I was holding hands with her, and
No.
somebody asked me why I was treating my daughter like that.
Oh. Well, that actually went
rough.
better than how I thought it was going to go.
Okay, well, no, that was I'm scared of where you thought that was going to
Well,
go.
you know.
That was bad enough, believe me. I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable now.
I just watched
don't know what to do.
a Law and Order.
Oh, that'll put your mind in weird
You know
places.
the messed up thing about Law and Order is so like I don't like that type of show. Like the only thing that
well, then why are you watching?
will you let me explain?
Okay,
Jonathan
go ahead,
Fink?
go ahead. Oh, so now I'm the guy derailing. Okay,
Can
go
I
ahead.
explain?
Go ahead.
So I did, let the silence sit. It's part of the humor.
All right, dramatic pause. Get on.
All right. All right. So the thing about Law and Order is like I do not like those shows. I mean, unless it has like the cheese where it's like CSI, okay, or CSI Miami. Maybe you'll get me into it. But the thing about Law and Order is those first 2 minutes you cannot turn off. So like
Yeah.
if I'm watching something, if I'm watching, you know, whatever, and then Law and Order comes on afterwards, and I see those first 2 minutes where it sets up the next, 40 minutes.
Right.
And it just hooks you.
Right.
Then after you get past the 2 minutes, it's always like, well, how did this happen? Oh, 15 minutes have gone by. Oh, now an hour has gone by. It's almost like I was watching
get their hooks in you.
watching The Matrix. And I was like, I'm not gonna. This movie's 3 hours long.
Yep.
And then the first 15 minutes go by, and I'm like, well, who is this Morpheus? Well, was Laurence Fishburne a good actor? I know he was good in that kid where he's
You're gonna have to narrow it down.
there's
He's in a lot of stuff.
that really.
Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah.
He's an accomplished actor. He's been in a ton of stuff.
What's that movie? Is it Boys in the Hood? No, not. It might be Boys. It is Boys. Is it Boys in the Hood? I think
Might
it is
be.
Boys in the Hood.
Either that or Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen Do the Right Thing.
I don't know if it's do the right thing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, this is one of those things that the internet's great for.
Yeah.
Just really like, oh, okay, find me the answer right now.
Also,
Yes.
one of the things the internet is great for. Google his daughter.
Who's
Oh,
Lawrence Fishburne's
Lawrence Fishburne's daughter is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Is she?
Yeah,
Well, that's
she's
not
also
why-
done some adult.
Yeah, that's
things,
why.
too.
Oh.
Where
yes.
it just makes your heart break for Mr. Fishburne. Like,
Yeah,
what did
he
you do in
actually
a
came out
previous life?
publicly and said like, she makes her own choices. I'm not happy about it, but she's an adult.
I prefer if she was in
Yeah.
the stage production of Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah, exactly.
But not
but,
that.
But we're doing the porn
production.
parody. of
Right,
Lawrence.
Right. Don't give her any ideas.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne's daughter. If you're listening, don't listen to
Which
us.
I didn't find him good in the first Matrix. I had the three of them recorded. I just thought he was.
The first one, I was excited when I watched the first one because I was like, this trilogy is probably going to be as good as Star Wars. But then, like the second and third one, I was like, oh, I guess not.
Really? See, I have them three. I had three of them recorded. I've gotten past the first one, which It
You really
just
don't need
seems.
to go
I mean,
for
I
the
like the
best.
concept. I love the science fiction about it, but
Yeah.
it's just and it's too long. Blah blah blah. But I think I'm gonna watch what is it? The Matrix Reloaded and the Matrix something else. I think I'm gonna
Revolutions or
complete
something.
the trilogy, and we'll see.
It's kind of a slog.
They're all 3 hours.
Well, they just
I
like,
understand
all
the first
long, I
one.
believe.
they're all very long, but I
Oh,
think
Jesus
that
Christ.
I think the second and the third ones, they have all these weird plot holes. There's like people living underground, and
Oh
it just
my
got
God.
it just
Yeah,
got a
see?
little weird.
I might delete it off my DVR. I just 3 hours. I understand the first one being 3 hours. You got to set. It's a very not complex. It's not like Inception, but it's a deep story.
Sure.
I understand the first one being 3 hours, but you can tell me a story in an hour and a half.
I find that I don't really dislike many things when it comes to like movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It really takes a lot. Like when people see, like, for example, Superman versus Batman or Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing on social media a lot like terrible. I
Yeah.
can't believe I saw that.
Right.
What nonsense. And I see it and I just buy into everything. I'm like, I liked it. I like everything, and I kind of feel like I don't know, but there was one movie called Solaris with George Clooney. Did you ever see?
I never saw that, but I
Don't ever do. Like we walked out. We literally left the theater. I think before the last 10 minutes. We tried so hard. It was just terrible. And then we watched him on an interview like the next week, poo-pooing his own movie.
really.
Yeah, it
Oh.
was really bad. But like, I don't get caught. I kind of just buy into the reality.
Yeah.
The recent Star Wars movie. People were saying stuff like,
Oh yeah.
you know, it was how did they blow up that Death Star planet with just this when it took so much to blow? I'm like,
You know who's
I didn't
really
even
great at
realize
that?
any of that stuff.
Who's really great at that actually is Ben Motten.
Oh, yeah.
Who goes? He's really good at being like, well, what about this? This doesn't really, pour to this. I'm like, just love it, man. Just
See, that's
drink
what
it
I do
in.
in movies.
Yeah, you
Like,
pick it up
apart.
It's not that I pick it apart. I'll just realize, like, if
little
so
critical
if you have a
thinking.
transition from one scene to the next, and the sun is in a total, like, I'm not gonna make a criticism of it, but I'll just
Right.
it just like, oh, so that was it took a lot to either shoot that scene or they started
Sure.
it at 12 and finished it at 4 o'clock. It's
I
just the
love
little
little tropes like
details.
that,
But like the inconsistencies. It's just it won't bother me, but it is something.
It'll catch
like,
your eye.
It just,
Bad acting gets me the most.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
bad acting. I can only there are certain
I can only take so much.
yeah. There's some actors that like
Name them. Come on.
Kevin Costner. I
Yeah.
can't watch any Kevin Costner movies because every single character is Kevin Costner.
Right.
He's the same
Yeah.
guy in every single movie.
feel
Keanu
that way
Reeves.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michelle
you,
Rodriguez.
Keanu Reeves, if he
he's
plays
still
the
Bill
right
and Ted.
character, it's fine. Yeah, but exactly,
It's still Bill and Ted. Yeah.
So it's like there are certain certain actors that they just don't do it for me because I'm tired of seeing them. Like,
Yes.
show me. I like it when when the actor melts into the character and you almost believe like that's a different person now.
Right. I do
And
like
Angelina
that.
Jolie's good at that.
Yes.
Michelle Rodriguez, I know she's a bad actress. She's not a good. I mean, what does that mean? She's successful. I don't find her as at all as a talented actress. However, anytime she's in a movie, I will watch that movie.
Right. She's just attached to good movies.
It's just
Sure.
she has a bad she plays herself, and herself is kind of dull.
Right.
But for some reason, like I appreciate her dullness even while realizing she's not a good actress.
No, I get that. I'm going back to Kevin Costner. I can't really watch him because I know things about him in real life.
What
Ooh,
do you
do
know,
tell.
John? Hey.
Well, as a massage therapist who's
Oh.
been in the industry for 20 years, I know people that have worked on him, and he is not a kind person.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
I
He
don't
doesn't
know.
have a kind sounding name.
I don't know how you could be. I don't know how you could be famous like that and not just be the nicest person because
Yeah.
don't you know that everybody's looking to take you down?
Well, and everybody's your boss.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
basically, your
no.
your favorability rating is how you get your paychecks. I mean, that's why I love meeting people at Comic-Con that do like cartoon voices because they are so generous with their time and they're so appreciative. and they're great people. And I think that's one of the cool things about improv too. And I was listening to Mike Birbiglia's he was on on the Nerdist podcast talking about his Don't Think Twice movie.
Sure.
And his wife was saying, I just noticed that your stand-up comedian friends are so mean and your improv friends are so nice. And so there's this different kind of community as, improv versus stand-up and, screen actors versus voiceover people.
Sure.
It's just a different community.
Yeah. There's for years I've always heard like little quips here and there about like improv and stand-up and the differences, and like there's like stand-ups don't like improvisers don't like stand-up. I don't think that's true.
No.
But what I find is like I've never really been good at stand-up because I don't have the self-discipline, and it's such a solo like focused
it's
art
almost
form.
like you're just selling your jokes.
Yeah, you're selling your jokes, and there's a lot of self-deprecation, and not all stand-ups by any means, but I do find that there's something different about creating something on your own than collaboration with others, and improv's a collaboration with others, and you can only get so far being the showboat or the superstar or the leader. Like you have to kind of follow the follower and be willing to submit to other people. And I think different people gravitate towards it.
Oh yeah, it's a different personality that succeeds in that sort of environment.
Sure.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more money in stand-up.
Oh yes, there is.
But
if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh yeah. Well, and we have some of our improvisers like Christina Perry who does stand-up, and a couple other people that are really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw her at Madhouse. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to do stand-up. Every time I've tried to jump into it, it's like I start it, I write my jokes, I get out there, I start playing them, and then as soon as I miss that first night, as soon as I let myself that first like excuse, it all comes tumbling down. But with improv, I'm accountable to the people that I get on stage with.
Right.
So if I don't show up, it's like we were talking about with the internet and how easy it is to make a comment about somebody. You don't see how they react. If I don't show up, the next time I show up, or if I don't show up for two things, I don't show up for rehearsal, eventually I can start to feel the vibe that everybody's giving me, like, hey, why aren't you here?
Yeah.
Where nobody gives that to you in stand-up. If you don't have the drive to do it yourself, nobody's going to keep you on your game.
Yeah, they're like, so long, more room for us.
Sure,
basically.
yeah, absolutely.
Right. No, I totally get that. Let's get another song in.
Another song.
Yeah, let's do some more De La Soul here.
Do you have? Were you able to find Me, Myself, and I?
No, I can pull that. Actually, I will pull that here while we're doing a couple other things.
Oh,
but in the meantime, let's do one of their other new songs. This is actually De La Soul and Snoop Dogg together.
Oh, nice.
So they did a lot of cool little,
Woof.
Yeah, that's right. This one's called Pain. I think it's appropriate here on SDS.
Student delivered sound.
What was that all about?
Why is pain so appropriate?
Because I just listened to the lyrics. Damn it. All right, here we go. And we're back, SDS.
Student delivered sound.
Had to play some
George
old school.
Clinton.
Well, yes. Sampled George Clinton on some De La Soul. That was their most famous one, Me, Myself, and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Before that, we had Black Star with Definition.
Black Star,
which was Mos Def and Talib Kweli together. Which is
Say his name again?
Mos Def?
No.
Talib Kweli?
Talib Kweli.
Okay, sure. That's that album of them together as Black Star is a really good complete album. So that's one. If you haven't heard that, it's worth the listen.
Talib Kweli.
Yes, and he's done a lot of cool stuff too. He had that one recently called Get By that was really good.
Get 'Em High with Kanye West.
No, that's not what we're talking about at all.
He did a song.
Talib did?
Yeah.
Okay.
You think I'm just making this up?
I thought you were just making stuff up.
With Kanye West.
Okay.
Called Get 'Em High.
Okay.
It's actually a really good song.
All right.
You should go listen to it.
All right, I will.
Speaking of Kanye West.
Oh, Jesus, don't do this.
When are we buying tickets to go see his show in L.A.?
Look, just because...
Hold on. Have you seen his stage setup? It's a floating stage.
Yeah, I don't want to pay that much money to see...
You don't even know how much it
expensive
is.
tickets?
How much is it?
You don't even know how much it is.
I can guarantee you it's more than I'm willing to pay.
They actually are expensive. I looked this morning. I was like, oh, my God.
How much are they?
okay, so here's the thing. So since there's no stage,
Yes.
since the stage is in the air,
Right.
think about that, by the way.
Yeah.
General admission is on the floor. I think I saw $325.
Go.
Oh, man.
And I was like, now wait a minute. Beyonce is charging like $170
This is too
to
much
sit in the
money.
bleachers. I love you, Kanye, but I'm not paying $300 to see you.
The most I've paid for tickets were I saw Roger Waters do The Wall
Oh.
at Yankee Stadium and close-up floor seats, like maybe 10th row floor seats, and I think those were $500 each. And I got 2 of them for me and my wife, and I got 2 more expecting to scalp them and make more money.
Yes.
And then they added, and then I think they added another date. And that
Oh,
immediately,
no.
again, we were just talking about like scarcity and like
Right,
when some,
yeah.
like Disney movies, they make them scarce and the value goes up.
Right.
As soon as you add more dates in, the ticket price is cut. You know, it's not as valuable anymore.
I was looking at resale. So this Beyonce concert next week in LA. I was like, you know what? I have these seats. Let me see if I can move closer. I know but if I sell the tickets I have now, let's say I sell them, I bought them 2 tickets, $170 each, $340 total. Let's say I sell them and I get, say, $400.
Mm-hmm.
If I sell them for $400 and I buy tickets closer for $500, I'm only losing $100.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, let's, and then you look at resale, and the amount. I mean, these people are crazy if they think people are going to buy these. Some will, but
Really?
to mark up a ticket that you bought for, let's say, $400 to sell it for $900. I mean,
Have you? Is this like on StubHub? And
Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It's crazy. Now I know some websites are better.
The No, I would say worse. Like I've seen things where prices, even the day of, they're still trying to get rid of them for like $1,500 a ticket.
Yeah, you're crazy.
And I feel like, see, every time I try to do that, it backfires and I lose money.
Right.
I did that
Yeah.
for Paul McCartney tickets when he was at
Park?
City Field in New York,
Okay.
and I bought tickets. I expected to buy like an extra one to sell it, and it just didn't sell, and I had to give it to my brother and just take him because I wasn't going to let the ticket go to
Yeah.
waste.
You got to eat the costs.
But that's crazy. Like, are these people on StubHub? Are they really selling them for that much?
They are.
They
I
are.
have a friend actually. I have a friend that works for StubHub, and people are doing it.
I don't get it.
It's so, well, for lack of a better word, it's so ephemeral. Like it you have to catch it at exactly the right time and under the perfect circumstances, and it's such a gamble. And at this point now, you've got performers that are trying to subvert that. So you have to not only outsmart the public, but the performer that's providing the tickets.
Yeah.
So you've got all these things working against you. So you have to be very, very lucky.
Some of the tickets were like, okay, so I can understand if you're going to charge a ticket you bought for $800, you sell for $9,000 if it's front row.
Sure.
But some of these seats are
Like
behind
nosebleed.
where I am. The original price is $180. These people are selling it for $400. It's like, why would it's not worth it
Right.
to be that far back?
It used to be
go see-
illegal. It used to be
Yeah.
illegal.
That's-
Like
I always thought
it's-
it was illegal. I always thought if you got caught, bad news for you.
There used to be things that were illegal that for scalping used to be illegal. Marking up the price of something too much was illegal.
Yeah.
Right.
Charging interest rates. It was called usury, to charge interest rates over a certain amount.
Yeah.
When they got rid of those laws, what they did was they created this whole industry of like predatory lending and all that.
Yeah.
And now it's like you want to you're a low income person, you have a not so great credit score, you need money, you're paying
Yeah.
through the nose. I just saw this thing on what they're doing with cars now, where like a used car dealership will take a terrible $2,000 car, sell it to somebody for like $3,000 because they have bad credit.
Yeah.
Then the car dealership gives the loan. So now they've got a loan at a 25% interest rate. You default, they take the car back, you still owe the money.
Right.
Then they turn and they give that car to somebody else, and they do it 8 times. So now they've taken this $2,000 car, they've whacked it 8 times on 8 different people for $2-3 grand, and now they've got $15,000 to $20,000 in debt owed to them, and they still have the car in their lot.
Evil genius.
It is.
Well, and
the
that's
game.
that's the same thing they did with the housing bubble.
Yeah.
They're essentially applying the same business model that got the housing bubble to burst.
Yeah,
They're
and
just doing it with cars
It
now.
worked until the prices all dropped.
Right.
It's scary. I don't know how. I think we're gonna see another debt crisis either with the auto industry
Oh,
or student
yeah.
loans or something, because it's
cyclical.
It's scary.
Well, and it's that's how the economy works. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just going to go up and down no matter what it is, because people had, like we're saying, even with improv, you're going into this because you have to, and you're course correcting as you go.
Sure.
So there's a natural ebb and flow to that.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how much like the government should be protecting people from themselves. You know, like
Yeah.
at a certain point, I feel like, well, you know, it's good that we have a lot of freedoms, and the government should interfere too much.
Yeah.
But when there are deceptive practices, you think,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having a little bit of protection, because
Right.
I can't keep my mind on everything. I can't
Right.
read through every fine print. So it's nice to know that this company is blocked from taking so much interest from me, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, you'll see that even on the little, like, you know, the quick loan kind of things. They'll say, "Oh, and by the way, we don't work in New York."
Question.
At the very end, you're like, "Oh, well, then things are happening."
Because New York has a state law.
Yeah.
As what I refer to you as a former lawyer, do you
Retired, actually.
okay? How often do you read fine print of
Like user agreement
possibly
stuff.
Like now?
yeah or ever?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because most of the things that there would be a user agreement for, I'm already, like Apple products. I'm an Apple product person now. I use Macs. I've got the iPhone. In my belief system, there is no superior product right now, and I can't say, well, it's either I sit and read through this. It doesn't make a difference what's in there.
Right.
That's
I'm
what
going to
getting
need
at.
that iPhone.
That's
either
the
way.
barrier of using it. So
It's
yeah.
like if there's a fine print on an airline ticket, I'm not reading it because I'm not driving across country. You're the only company.
Yeah.
You're the airline that's going to take me there.
What I'm getting at, so there's a South Park episode where it's like, okay, well, what if I put, you know,
we get your firstborn child or something.
or just something ridiculous? Is that could a company actually do that? Like, so in a terms of agreement, well, if you sign up for this, if you click I agree, you know, I could, for no reason, just charge you $100.
Yeah, there's. I haven't practiced law in a long time, and that's an area that I never practiced at all. But I'm pretty sure that the courts would look at it and ask, like, would a reasonable person signing up for this iPhone expect that after 2 years, when you return the phone, you also have to return 10 pints of blood, right? I don't think a reasonable person would ever connect those two things, and so you could probably punch holes through that agreement on stuff like that. But like,
that's just waiting to be done for no reason, just to be like, well, I mean, you clicked that you read and you agreed to the terms and conditions. I feel like,
but like a lease, like if you signed a lease and in your lease it said that your quiet hours start at 2 p.m. That might sound ridiculous to you, but that would be something in the terms of a rental lease. They could put that in there, and you should probably read through your rental lease.
I kind of feel like the rental lease, those are things that even your parents tell you, okay, you have to read.
Yeah.
Because there's things with like the garbage, there's things with like, going back to that MAGA thing, I don't even know if, I don't know if I can put the garbage can in the garbage can.
How hard is it to throw away a trash can?
Right.
Yeah, there's a good stand-up comedy thing about that.
Josh
Where else would I throw it away at?
Well, and that's the thing. Maybe you just have to put it in a big trash bag. I don't know if I can. Doesn't mean I won't. Like they say, like on the garbage can, this is being monitored by cameras. When in actuality, there isn't any cameras there. But so like there's all these type. I think the rental agreement type things are things that like. Well, that's why I think
you have to read those.
That's why I think that we need to have a better system for healthcare, because when you are having a medical emergency, you don't get to like shop around.
Sure.
You can't be like, oh, I'm having a heart attack. Let's check Yelp.
Yeah.
And see what, the best hospital is, because I just need to go get treated.
Yeah.
So we need to have a different system for that, at least specifically.
If there's anything that those like user agreements, contracts, fine print, if there's anything any place where that's abused a lot, it's got to be insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Because insurance, what they do is they put in these vague terms like, this is when I practiced law. I represented medical, chiropractors, all sorts of different doctors, medical facilities. And let's say you get into a car accident, you go to your doctor or your chiropractor that treats you. At the end of 3 months of treatment, they're going to send you to their doctor, the insurance company's doctor. And the insurance company's doctor is going to say the treatment's no longer medically necessary. And when you're reading through your insurance policy, if you read it, it'll say we'll pay up until it's no longer medically necessary.
Right.
But what's medically necessary when the insurance company's doctor is paid by the insurance company and they're the ones saying it's no longer medically necessary? So I would step in as the lawyer and I would then sue the insurance company to prove it's medically necessary and you must continue to keep paying. But like when insurance companies use that language, they create so many carve-outs to deny, because that's their job, is to find ways to save money and deny treatment. I've after practicing for 10 years, I don't believe there's even the slightest drop of altruism in the insurance industry. I think it's just like it's numbers. There's no people. It's numbers and dollars. And if we can use these words to get you, they do.
Right.
There was of all things, a Saw movie. Like one of the horror movies. I think it was number 5. And the whole was, I think they collected just insurance people. And they were like, well, you did not cover, like they got like 7 or 8 people that were intertwined in not in necessarily insurance fraud, but just denying good people basic coverage just to save the dollar.
Yep.
And so that was like the entire movie. And,
it's the cautionary tale for the people that work in the insurance industry.
The Saw movies are getting a little bit politically motivated.
That's right, man. They got a message,
I watched
right?
those movies, and I enjoyed those, and I swear, I kid you not, for some reason, maybe it's just me.
Okay.
I hope someone agrees with me on this. About what I'm about to say.
I haven't seen any of the Saw movies, so I can't tell you.
Great. The first few are fantastic.
I am not a horror movie watcher.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
The first few, or after watching, I can't believe you. The first few Saw movies, I was like, you know what? Be a good person, because if you're not a good person, some people in masks are gonna snatch you up, and you're gonna have to do something.
That's
terrible.
the underlying message of a lot of horror movies.
I mean,
if you're the first one to have sex, if you're the first one to do drugs, if you're the first one to be a jerk,
don't be.
They're gonna come get you.
To that kid named Jason, who has deformities,
right?
Because that kid, he knows some things,
right?
And he is otherworldly, and he'll kill you.
Well, and I think that actually it's interesting because that goes back to the status thing. If you meet someone where they are at their status.
Ooh, I gotta go. I'm parking 2 hour parking. Sorry.
Marcus.
Wow, that came out of nowhere. I'm sorry.
No, it's good, man. But like we were saying though, if you meet someone at their status, if you meet them where they're at, that's how they communicate. Sir.
Nice to meet you, man.
That's a big thing. So it's
you gotta meet Freddy Krueger at his status. You
exactly.
gotta show up with your own hand blades.
Yes. You gotta do the handshake, but you're kind of sharpening the blades at the same time. Shoom, shoom, shoom. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Oh man.
Yeah.
This has been great. I mean, I can't believe that we've been here for just about 2 hours now. This flew by.
Exactly.
It flew by.
Isn't this fun?
It is.
Please come back.
Oh, I certainly will.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I certainly will. I've been doing a podcast with my wife called The Lost Parents.
Yes.
And we got a little website, thelostparents.com.
Cool.
But I found that first few were a little clunky getting our sea legs. But now we stopped after the baby was born. We had our third son in August, and we're thinking about picking it back up again. So this was inspiring to get back on the mic. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that's happening for you, man. And please, I mean, anytime you want to come back, you're absolutely welcome to.
Absolutely.
How else for people that are listening, how else can they get in touch with you? We talked about your website.
Sure.
Twitter, Facebook, give it all.
So website has pretty much everything. That's Tommy-Galan.com, and it's Galan, Galan. So www.Tommy-Galan.com. My Twitter handle is @TommyGalan. Snapchat, Tommy the Galan.
Nice.
I have one other thing that's Tommy. So if you're not finding me under Tommy Galan, look for Tommy the Galan. And Lost Parents, lostparents.com. That's the podcast. My improv is Bicoastal Improv, but that's all through my website.
Right.
If you want to take improv classes, I teach at Finest City Improv. I also do private coaching. And that's...
What about the Juggle Gym?
But the Juggle Gym is kind of like a summer project. When my gutter business slows down, I'm looking to create stuff and do stuff, and people had asked me that. So I've actually been thinking about creating something, because there's only so many people that wanted to learn how to juggle, but the improv community is exploding. So I've been thinking about doing ninja improv, which would be It would be limited to like 6 students. It would be drop-in workshops, 6 students, diagnostics, where we do scene work in the beginning. I identify your habits, and then I give you tools to get out of those habits.
Good.
So that's something that I've been toying around with, but I haven't really launched yet.
Okay.
If you want to check out, I have a YouTube page, but I am not savvy enough to have 100 subscribers yet. So
yes, go subscribe right now.
Yeah, you can go on Tommy-Galan.com. If you click on the videos link, you can see some of the links, and the subscribe button is there. Otherwise, my YouTube name is like UQR157B3. It just keeps going on forever.
Right.
But eventually, I'll be Tommy the Galan at YouTube also.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
This will be a regular thing. This once we get the semester started, we're gonna get a lot more eyes on the station, so there'll be more people interacting as we go.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll have some good times.
Yeah, I like this big glass window here. I think we should do some like come to the window, win a prize type things.
That's a good
to start
idea.
Generating some more listeners here.
We do a trivia thing where they have to almost like Let's Make a Deal. Like show up with a handful of peanuts and you get like a prize or something. We'll do something like that where they just can like show us something.
Do you have acting students here?
Oh yeah,
I can give out free improv workshops as prizes.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd love to promote to your acting and performers.
Yeah, and we got a good theater program here. That one guy that was saying hi in the window is a good filmmaker, and he does good acting too.
Ah, so. Beautiful. Yeah, I'd love to plug into more of the student body here. I mean, they're here. We can cross market and certainly pass value back and forth. So let's do it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I will be back. Let's see, Monday at 10 a.m. So thank you for listening, and let's kind of find a good song to get out of here. Do you know about Latyrix?
No.
Okay, we're gonna get out on Lady Don't Techno. And we'll see you next time on SDS.